need to be? Okay, so move closer with Brett. Okay, and Brett, you don't know sign language, so don't react to what she's saying or I'll throw a pencil at your head.
No sign language.
Hello, my name is Mindy. Mindy Joy. May. Mindy Joy Mayer. Just think of the hot dogs, Oscar Mayer. That. Mindy Mayer. That's my name. I want to see some of the class. I see that there's 2 students. From a previous class that I taught in the summer. So I was really excited to see them. You right here. Hello. How are you? Good, thank you. And Christina over here. She was a good student. They were both very good students. Yeah. I taught them in the summer. It was a big class, but it was a lot of fun.
Are you planning to teach a class again?
Yes. But my boss, Carly, she's recently been emailing me plans with the dean so that we can figure out the plans for the summer classes. I'm really excited about it.
Wish I could take it.
Well, come on and take it.
Can I Skype in from California?
I don't know how to Skype. I'll have to ask Carly. So, okay, I'm deaf. I just want to explain a little bit more about being deaf and blind. For me personally, I have Usher syndrome. The sign for it is like this. Usher syndrome. So I have Usher syndrome myself, and my best friend also has the same condition, Usher syndrome. So we teach interpreters together how to work with people who have Usher syndrome and who are also deaf. So a lot of the times working in the deaf-blind community, we miss a lot of the signs because of the speed of the signing and tactile signing when you're signing holding on to someone's hand, or tracking. So that's something that we discuss in our class. All the different kinds of methods, such as guiding us, and there's a lot involved with being deaf-blind. And so I share my experience with those who want to know. I've been teaching for about 5 years. Soon it will be 6 years. I'll be teaching here at Columbia.
What about the SSB certification process? Like in Washington, you can go through the Deaf-Blind Service Center, and then you take a workshop over the weekend, and you get some volunteer opportunities, and then you can be certified as SSB. Will Illinois do that?
That's another major issue that I. Oh, sorry. Let me tell you a little story before we get into that. For my work in Chicago, and my work at the Chicago Lighthouse, it's in short CLH. It's not an actual lighthouse. I'm sure some of you are picturing an actual lighthouse, but that's not what it is. It's a nonprofit organization for blind people. That's where deaf and blind people go for services, for help, and for help finding jobs. And at the Chicago Lighthouse, they have different kinds of they make clocks. There's 26 different departments. So for my department, I work with the deaf and the blind program. I work in the deaf blind community. Out contacting laying off people. Last March, it has been 1 year now, this month. So last year, the department upstairs had access to the state of Illinois. The point I'm getting at is that before I worked with the deaf blind program, it was really a fight to go over there and for the specified for Springfield, Illinois. This is the sign for Springfield, Illinois. So my boss, he was from Helen Keller Center. So the three of us went and we discussed together the budget, and we got money for SSP. So when we got the money, it supported the services that were provided.
Okay, Brett, interrupt. Go ahead and interrupt the next question.
So that's the answer to your question. Money. There's no money. We don't have. We've been struggling, and we've just. Oh, we have not given up yet. We're still trying. But your question about SSP. Julie Summers. She works with the Department of Rehabilitation Services. So hopefully soon that they'll establish some kind of ESSP, meaning working SSP. That means that someone will pay to help us looking for jobs.
When I was in school in Seattle, I went to ASLAS. So Teresa Smith, her idea was that if you became an SSP, that you would get a lot of volunteer opportunities, and then the deafblind would be natural role models. So you could pick up language through a more immersed process. So I found that it was really good for me as a student to become an SSP. And then it led me to working at the Seattle Lighthouse for the Blind. And when I first started there, I didn't realize that all the lighthouses were different. Like I thought it was one big national company. Then after being there for like a 2-year period, I realized that Seattle Lighthouse was the biggest factory. Most of the other lighthouses provided services. Worked more like deafblind service center.
You're right. And Seattle Lighthouse is huge because there's so many different services and jobs. Boeing? It's a company for flying. It's a company for flying that we make. A long time ago, I lived in Seattle, so I know a lot about the Seattle Lighthouse. And it is huge. It is really big. And the services that they have and the connections that they make. Oh, and the assembly. Oh, the different kinds of assembly they have. It's really big, but there's so many different departments to support. So that means for the deaf-blind community, we need to go to a different place called. What is it called? For Deaf-Blind Service Center. It's more like my Chicago Lighthouse. So imagine that. What he's talking about is the same as my Chicago Lighthouse.
And then, like, when I went to New York and I worked for Helen Keller National Center, I was a life coach there. So that was more training people to work restaurant, to prep like fruits and vegetables and cut them up appropriately so they could go into salads. And then I also taught people to work at Filene's basement, and to fold clothes in the warehouse. And I felt like from going from Seattle, where we worked with teaching people how to make planes, going to New York to teach people how to fold clothes, I wasn't doing a service to deafblind people. So that's when I just quit Helen Keller. Done.
So why did you quit Helen Keller? I'm curious.
Well, I worked there for 3 months. I worked there for 3 months. The first 3 weeks, I had to make my own schedule. They didn't know, like, my department was just being established, and they didn't really have the house to fire code. So Helen Keller set up a group home called Destiny House. So they had students in dorms that were really only supposed to be there temporarily, and they were people that had multiple disabilities, so they had cognitive delays. They had guardians. They weren't capable of, functioning at the regular level of a Helen Keller student. But those people had been there for 5 years in the dorms, which they wanted to improve their situation and move them into a home. So the home, it took about a year and a half to establish and to get to code and to remodel and to paint.
How many years to establish it?
About a year and a half to establish it. So they hired me and they were like, oh, just kind of hang out. And I felt really awkward doing that. And then my first night at the group home, they had moved students in with only their bedrooms set up. So the bedrooms were ready to go. There was no furniture. There was no kitchen supplies.